Hello and welcome back. In our previous lecture, we talked about the introduction to the Directive Principles of State Policy and features of Directive Principles of State Policy, and we had started with the classification of the Directive Principles of State Policy, where we said that DPSP can be classified into liberal, Gandhian, socialistic and international principles, जिसके लिए हमने आपको एक acronym भी दिया था, LIGS, in order to remember it in a better manner. Now we will talk about the socialistic principles. Socialistic principles simply reflect the ideology of the socialism, and socialism, as we know, takes a state closer towards the equality, towards being an egalitarian society, towards minimizing the glaring inequalities in wealth, income, opportunities and status. So the socialistic principles, they basically frame reflect the ideology of the socialism, and they lay the state to lay down the framework for democratic socialist state and aim at providing the social and economic justice and set path towards the welfare of the state. They basically direct the state to secure a social order which is permeated by justice, that is social, economic and political, and minimize the inequalities in income, status, facilities and opportunities. As we know that today 95% of the wealth is possessed by 5% super rich of the world. So if this particular aspect is kept into consideration, if this particular article is kept into consideration, the glaring inequalities in wealth, the gulf between the rich and poor, can be brought to can be minimized, and all can be given opportunities for equal education, equal status and equal opportunities and equal wealth. But we know that this principle is not implemented in its true letter and spirit, though government has introduced certain measures in order to minimize the glaring inequalities in wealth, like progressive taxation and other initiatives, but still the glaring inequalities of wealth still continue. Now, talking about Article 39, Article 39 has got other principles which are in it, and these are the subclauses in it. And in order to remember this article, I have already highlighted the few words in red which you can see here. That's livelihood, distribution, concentration, equal pay, preservation and healthy development. Now Article 39 says to secure a right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens, equitable distribution of material resources of community for common good, prevention of concentration of wealth, equal pay for equal wealth, preservation of health and strength of workers, and children against forcible abuse and opportunities for healthy development. I would like to state here that this particular section of Directive Principles of State Policy, that is the liberal, intellectual, Gandhian and socialistic principles, maximum questions in UPSC and in other civil services, state, provincial civil services, comes out of it as far as Directive Principles of State Policy is concerned. Like you might be given an article and you have to classify it that under which principle it comes. Similarly, रिसेंटली 2017 में इसमें इन्हीं प्रिंसिपल्स में से, सोशलिस्टिक प्रिंसिपल्स में से क्वेश्चन आया था विच वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन अ वाइल. तो कहने का ये मतलब है ये याद करने बहुत ज़रूरी है. तो इनको याद करने के लिए आई हैव डिवाइस्ड a mnemonic for Article 39 which is LDC goes to PHE. Now LDC, here you can remember it. L is for livelihood, D is for distribution, C is for concentration, P is for preservation of health, H is for healthy development of children and E is for equal pay for equal work. तो अगर आप इस तरीके से इसको याद करोगे तो you will get a fair idea, some sort of an idea in examination that which article it is, and sometimes in mains you will be directly asked about Article 39, what Article 39 is and what are things in it. ठीक है. Now moving on and talking about Article 39A. Article 39A is to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid to the poor. And in order to implement this particular article, National Legal Services Authority has been established, which gives the free legal services and aid to the poor. Article 41 talks about to secure the right to work, education and to public assistance in cases of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. Now some states have initiated old age pension schemes in order to implement this particular act. And sometimes questions might be asked like this कि states ने क्या measure लिए या central government ने कौन से measures लिए हैं इनको implement करने के लिए. So I have in that way given you that what measures have been taken for their implementation. Similarly, the Article 42 talks about to make provision for just and humane conditions for work and maternity relief. That is Article 42, and Maternity Benefit Act in 1961. It implements it, and there has been a recent amendment in 2016 in the Maternity Benefit Act, and the leave has been enhanced for 26 weeks in case of first baby and 12 weeks as it was before in case of you having a second or third baby, right? Now, Article 43 talks about to secure a living wage and a decent standard of life and social and cultural opportunities for all workers. So, इसके लिए Minimum Wage Act 1948, a Payment of Bones Act 1965, similarly Payment of Wage Act 1936, ये पहले से ही गवर्नमेंट ने ला रखे हैं और इनको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ऐसे मेजर्स ले रही है. Similarly, 43 Article 43A, जिसके बारे में UPSC ने in 2017 they had asked a question that through which amendment this particular article was brought forth. It was the 42nd amendment. तो ये है to take steps to secure participation of workers in management of industries, और इसके लिए Article 43 है A है. और अब secure कैसे किया जाता है participation through unions, through these shop councils, joint management councils, या lower level के employees को decision making में involve करना. That's also workers participation in management. That is, if you are taking any strategic decision and you are involving lower level employees for that particular decision, that's also right. वो भी एक तरीके की पार्टिसिपेशन होती है. वैसे ही कलेक्टिव बार्गेनिंग अगर आप देखेंगे तो ये भी एक तरीके की वर्कर्स पार्टिसिपेशन इन मैनेजमेंट है. ठीक है. Article 47 is to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living of people and to improve the health, for which government has already taken measures like midday meals government कर रही है, और fortification of foods किया जाता है, या PDS जो गवर्नमेंट ने लाया है. तो ये सारा कुछ इसीलिए लाया गया है ताकि पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम हो गया, मिड डे मील स्कीम हो गई, ये सारा कुछ इसीलिए ला रही है गवर्नमेंट in order to implement this particular act article. Now, how do we remember the socialistic principles? ये काफी tedious है, तो कैसे इसको remember किया जाए? या तो आप ऐसे एक story बना सकते हैं जैसे lawyers are fighting a case to deliver justice for poor workers for free because factory owner is making them overwork in dark humid conditions. तो ये एक ऐसी आप story बना सकते हो जिनसे कि आप फिर lawyer से आपको legal aid, या फिर justice से आपको जो poor के लिए justice है, डार्क ह्यूमेन वर्क कंडीशन से आपको ह्यूमेन कंडीशन याद आएगा, यूनियन फॉर्मेशन से आपको वर्कर्स पार्टिसिपेशन इन मैनेजमेंट याद आएगा, हेल्थ से उनकी इंप्रूवमेंट इन हेल्थ, या प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन से आपको मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट का याद आएगा. या फिर आप ऐसे एक निमोनिक याद रख सकते हो जो कीवर्ड से हमने बनाया है. F is for this free legal aid, O is for old age, C is for child care, U is for union formation, S is for S is for improving the standard of life, and N is for न्यूट्रिशन. ठीक है. फोकस न्यूट्रिशन अगर आप वर्ड याद रखेंगे तो इससे भी ये सारे आर्टिकल्स आपको याद रह सकते हैं. नाउ कमिंग ऑन टू गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स. नाउ गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स है तो ये किस लिए लाए गए थे? द गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स, द फिलॉसफी बिहाइंड गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स वाज they are based on Gandhian ideology. The program of reconstruction which Gandhi had taken during the freedom movement, इनमें वही सारे principles है, जैसे कि विलेज पंचायत्स को ऑर्गेनाइज करना और उनको पावर देना. ठीक है, आर्टिकल 40. इसी तरीके से आर्टिकल 43 कॉटेज इंडस्ट्रीज को डेवलप करना और कोऑपरेशन बेसिस पे रूरल एरियाज में इनको स्टार्ट करना. इसी तरीके से Article 43B is the voluntary formation, autonomous functioning and democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies. तो ये Article 43B हो गया. इसी तरीके से then there is another article जहाँ पर कि weaker sections SC और ST के economic और education interest की promotion की बात की जाती है. Similarly, prohibition of alcohol and intoxicating drinks, जो कि हमने lecture के start में ही कहा था कि where it finds its place in constitution, and then to prohibit slaughter of cows and male animals. Again, आजकल काफी इस पे डिबेट होती है, तो ये भी इंक्लूड किया गया है गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स. नाउ हाउ कैन यू रिमेंबर गांधीन प्रिंसिपल्स? ईदर यू कैन फॉर्म अ स्टोरी, जो कि मैंने पहले आपको कहा, दैट विलेज फॉर्म्स कॉटन इंडस्ट्रीज, sells products to cooperative societies where drinking is prohibited and cows are reared and SC and ST people also work. There can be this story, या इसको आप ऐसे निमोनिक के थ्रू याद रख सकते हैं कि that I saw से आपको आएगा S is for slaughter, A is for prohibition of alcohol, W is for promotion of weaker section, education and economic interests, V is for village panchayat, C is for cooperative societies and then cottage industries से आपको याद आ ही जाएगा कि cottage industries है. Now moving on and talking about the liberal and intellectual principles. Now these reflect the Western liberalism and intellectual principles. ठीक है, तो पहले इसमें जो पहला एक्ट है वो है to secure uniform civil code throughout the country. That is why the government is hell bent on removing this triple talaq system and abolishing these all personal law boards like Muslim Personal Law Board and other similar law boards which are there in the country. तो ये यहाँ पर आप देखते हैं कि क्यों गवर्नमेंट जो है वो एडमेंट है in order to remove this triple talaq system. Similarly, to provide early childhood care and education to all children, that's Article 45. Organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines, that is Article 48. Article 48 talks about preservation of environment and to safeguard forest and wildlife. Article 48A was this, and Article 49 talks about preservation of monuments and those places which are of artistic importance, unko bhi preservation karni hai. Similarly, to separate judiciary from executive is Article 50, and one article which has been clubbed by various authors मतलब अलग अलग तरीके से क्लब किया है, जैसे इंटरनेशनल प्रिंसिपल अलग से या फिर लिबरल इंटेलेक्चुअल, तो हम इसको we will try and club it here in liberal intellectual and we will say that it's an international principle also. ठीक है, अब आप इस चीज को याद कैसे रखेंगे, इस आर्टिकल को कैसे याद रखा जा सकता है. रिमेंबर दिस पिक्टोरियल डायग्राम्स ये है, यहाँ पर आप एक चाइल्ड देख रहे हैं, वो चाइल्ड जो है वो जामिया मिलिया इस्लामी जो कि यूनिवर्सिटी न्यू दिल्ली में है वहां पे जाता है और वहां से निकल के फिर वो यूएई जाता है. अगर आप ये स्टोरी याद रखते हैं ये सारी आर्टिकल्स आपको याद रहेंगे. चाइल्ड से आपको याद आएगा दैट देयर इज द चाइल्डहुड एंड अर्ली एजुकेशन एंड केयर फॉर ऑल, राइट. फिर जे से आपको याद आएगा दैट जे इज फॉर जुडिशरी, सेपरेशन ऑफ जुडिशरी फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव, राइट. इसी तरीके से एम से आपको याद आएगा मॉन्यूमेंट्स की प्रोटेक्शन, ठीक है. आई से आपको टू प्रमोट इंटरनेशनल पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी. इसी तरीके से यू से आपको यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड याद आएगा और ए से आपको एग्रीकल्चर एंड एनिमल हस्बेंड्री याद आएगी और ई से आपको एनवायरनमेंट याद आएगा. अब क्योंकि ये डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है काफ़ी रिमेंबर करना, तो इसीलिए ये अलग अलग टेक्निक्स को डिवाइस करना पड़ता है इन ऑर्डर टू रिमेंबर इट, अदरवाइज ये दिमाग से निकल जाती हैं चीज़ें. और यूपीएससी भी सीधे सीधे क्वेश्चन पूछती है कि ये प्रिंसिपल कहाँ पे आता है, ये प्रिंसिपल कहाँ पे आता है, तो इसलिए ये आपको आसानी से याद रहेंगी यहाँ पर. फाइनली मूविंग ऑन एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट द क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स. फर्स्टली, there is no legal force involved in it. We have already said that they are not legally enforceable, as a result of which चूंकि legally enforceable नहीं है, तो they have been called as pious superfluities for this reason, because they are not legally enforceable. So it is up to the discretion of government whether they will apply them for governance or not. However, they are fundamental in governance, as Article 37 says, and they cannot be ignored by the government of the day. But still, this is the major criticism of it, that is that there is no legal force involved in it. Second thing is that it is illogically arranged, and neither there is classification, neither they are arranged in a proper manner, because some unimportant and important issues have been clubbed together. तो ये भी एक issue है. Third thing is that they are conservative. ये वही जो 20th century के ideals हैं उनको include किया है, जो latest 21st century के ideals हैं उनको include नहीं किया गया. That's why they are conservative. Constitutional conflict arises because of the fact that constitutional conflict prime minister और मतलब प्राइम सेंटर और स्टेट्स के बीच में, प्राइम मिनिस्टर और प्रेसिडेंट के बीच में, और गवर्नर और स्टेट्स के बीच में हो सकता है. जैसे सेंटर कुछ डायरेक्ट कर सकता है स्टेट्स को, और अगर उन्होंने वो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं किया, वो उनको आर्टिकल 367 के बेसिस पे वो उनको दे कैन टेल देम दैट दैट सिंस यू आर नॉट इम्प्लीमेंटिंग आवर डायरेक्टिव्स, हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर कर देंगे. तो इस वजह से ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते रहते हैं, वेदर बिटवीन प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड प्रेसिडेंट और बिटवीन गवर्नर एंड these conflicts take place. Now, as far as differences are concerned, they are negative. We have already said fundamental rights are negative, of enforce नहीं कर सकते हो. DPSP पॉजिटिव होती हैं. Justiciable क्योंकि ये मतलब आप कोर्ट में नहीं जा सकते हो इनकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए, डीपीएसपी के लिए। वो इंश्योर करते हैं पॉलिटिकल और इकोनॉमिक डेमोक्रेसी, और इसके अलावा मॉरल एंड पॉलिटिकल सैंक्शंस है बिहाइंड डीपीएसपी। तो ये सारा हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। अब यूटिलिटी जो है डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स की वो क्या है? Well, they serve as instrument of instructions, beacon to the courts. They have dominating background for all state action. They amplify the preamble, and this is all which we have got. Thank you.